Well, nothing is going to be easy in this league. Um, you know, you wouldn't expect anything less from me. You've been with me for 11 years now, but you know, LSU's 10-1 at home. The only loss was to Vanderbilt in a game where they led 56-55 with 6 to go, um, which is a great road win for Vanderbilt. Um, they played at Alabama, the fourth-ranked team in the country, on Saturday, and they led in the second half and really played well. So I think it continues to be about matchups. LSU's guards can really score, get downhill, provide you with some one-on-one challenges. Obviously, Carter is leading the SEC in league games in scoring, and Sears comes off the bench for them. Is really a terrific scorer and an older kid, and got its lived at the foul line at UT Martin, and is a really tough cover. And then their front line is just athletic, just really athletic, bouncy, long, young, and so it'll be. They like to play fast. They do a good job in transition, and this is a quad one opportunity for us. But for LSU, this is a separator. I don't know where they are in Joe Lenardi's bracket buster. Can anybody tell me where they are? Does anybody know?
I don't think they're in there, no.
Okay, so they're like one win against a team like Auburn away from being in, right? And so that's what we're going to face. And I think another reminder to our fan base, and particularly as we start to get more kids from Texas and down in that region, I almost want to reach out to the parents of our students whose children go to Auburn that are down in Texas. Come on over to Baton Rouge on Wednesday night, and because there are still some tickets available at LSU, and we need witnesses.
Bruce, one of the analytics sites today tweeted that Tahaad was the #1 6-man in the country. Just the spark he provides for y'all off the bench, just how valuable has
Yeah.
it been for y'all?
Well, Tahaad was 1 and Cheney, I think, was 4 or something like that. So, it speaks. I think it speaks a lot about, like, let's just say the character of those two kids. I actually asked Cheney during practice yesterday, what do you think about moving Janai back in the starting lineup? He said, "Boy, Coach, I really appreciate you asking me." He said, "I got no problem with it." Of course he has no problem with it, and he may have been surprised I asked him, but I want to know how he felt. Certainly, Janai being our best player and player of the year candidate deserves to start when he's ready to start. We didn't start him on Saturday because we weren't sure how long or effectively he could go, and he completely pulled a Willis Reed. He just did. We don't win without him, and but Tahaad and Cheney are like having. They're both starters. They're both having starter impact, and it really does help us when we go to the bench and we don't drop off. We just get different.
Bruce, with the gate rush incident that happened before game day on Saturday, I wanted to ask you just a couple of things. How much have you been involved with discussions at the university level about how to handle something like that moving forward? And also, I guess, what would your message be to any of the students who might have been impacted by it?
Yeah, I'm not been very involved in it, other than wanting to make sure that our students have just the best possible experience. And our students were amazing. Just when you thought that college game day couldn't get any better, or the students could be any more intense or impactful in a game, they were. And so we want to make sure that they're provided with a safe and situation, and I know that they're working towards that end.
Bruce, back to Tahaad, him only playing around 14 minutes against Tennessee, was that just about you wanting to have the veterans in there in that defensive type battle?
No, he had 2 early fouls in the first half, so he picked up his second foul when he kind of beat Ziegler to the spot, tied him up, and they called a foul. It was kind of a bang play, but it was his second foul with a lot of time left to go in the second half. So at that point, we did a little bit of offensive and defense in the first half, but yeah, he definitely it was just simply foul trouble.
Bruce, in kind of a similar vein to Tennessee, LSU gets a lot of its offense from Cam Carter and Jordan Sears in its backcourt. What have you kind of seen from them?
Wow, I mean, Cam Carter can really score. He's got the ultimate green light. Sears has got great range. He's a great three-point shooter, and yet he's got blow-by speed going either way. So he doesn't have real tendency as far as his penetration is concerned. And their big guys get it. They had like 13 or 14 offensive rebounds in the first half against Alabama. So I mean, LSU is one of the most, I think, athletic teams in our league. Their speed and quickness and jumping ability, will bother anybody they play against.
Hey Bruce, with the SEC matchup coming up, I know this gauntlet has been tough with how the conference has played this year, but looking ahead to these upcoming conference matchups, how difficult it is to game plan with how the talent is around this conference?
Without what now?
With the talent around this conference, how?
Yeah, I mean, we just take it one at a time. Truly take it one at a time. We've always done that. I think you have to do it now. Road games are going to be precious and few. For some, hopefully we're going to get, our share. There's only 2 teams that are undefeated in the road this year, and it's Auburn and Alabama. We've each won 3 road games, and we've got 2 tough road games this week with a huge prize on our head. And so, but our guys have done a good job so far this year, where we've been excited about playing everybody. We have. Are we due for a letdown? I suppose, but I haven't seen it yet.
Bruce, Denver on offense has had a couple of tougher games. What's that say about him, though, that he continues to kind of play that defense even when his shots aren't falling? May have had some turnovers.
Yeah, well, we've talked about the fact that Denver is one of the best defensive guards in the game, and what an incredible job he does. But you got to understand that his whole life he's been a better offensive player than a defensive player. So his whole life he's graded himself and evaluated himself as to what kind of an offensive game he had or has. So he wants to score. He wants to be effective offensively. And so it bothers him when he's not. I mean, it really bothers him. Now it hasn't affected his defense, but we need for Denver to take better care of the basketball and make more shots.
Bruce, you talked about a plan B or a plan C, trying to find that for your team after the game. Probably don't want to share those plans with us now, but can you look back at any of your teams that you've had maybe in the past 6 or 7 years and recall a time when when your team sort of evolved through the middle of the season and you were able to find a plan B or plan C?
Start the beginning of the question again.
After the game, you mentioned that teams have the book on you. You need
Oh.
to find a plan B or plan C.
Yeah, no, I think the book. The book is not just on us as a team. The book is on each individual. Like, what does Denver Jones do really well? Well, let's take that away. And then, because obviously we put him in positions, early in the midseason to do what you do. And now once they take what you do away, what's plan C? And that's every player, that's every team. And so I think that's why, for example, like Tennessee and Auburn, you're not going to get better scouting. We know everything they do. They know everything they do. We know their tendencies. They know their tendencies. Why can a team that makes 8.5 threes a game only, how many do they make? 3?
4.
4?
Auburn or Tennessee?
Tennessee.
4. shot a lot more than 4.
But because we know their tendencies, we know what we know, and so that's what happens to all teams at this time of the year, is who can continue to evolve, and grow and show other abilities without going to what you're not very good at, like without trying to do stuff you can't do.
BP, you had some games, I guess, Houston, Iowa State, South Carolina, Tennessee, where in the last 2, 3, 5 minutes, you're not giving up any points. I mean, in some of those games, you give 0 points, 0 points, 2 points down the stretch. Defensively, is there anything changes? Do the guys just know they need to lock it in? Is there anything said in some of those games where you're just giving up nothing?
Well, I would say this. It's a great question. I would say that right now, like Miles Kelly and Denver Jones and Chad Baker and Dylan Cardwell and Janai Broom are elite defenders. Like all 5 of those guys, and then Tahaad also is obviously a special offensive player, but he can make plays defensively. And Chaney had one of the best defensive plays of the game late against Tennessee when he got vertical and stopped on one of their second last possessions. I think it has to do with our personnel. I think Stephen Pearl, as a defensive coordinator, along with the other coaches that are involved in the scout, we held Tennessee to 51 points. What, 51? I mean, it takes an elite game plan and it takes elite personnel, and we had both.
JG and then Ferg with the last one.
Yeah, Stephen was doing an interview earlier today talking about, he had like a team talk yesterday, and Kai had said he wanted to be a better teammate and get better control of his emotions. Is that something, Chad kind of went through some of that too, I think, when he got here. Do you see some parallels between those two guys?
Yeah, I think again, one of the things that you have to be reminded about is that they're still kids, and they're 18, 19, 20 years old. Chad Baker's a little older. Denver's a little older. Chris Moore's a little older. And so as a result, they're working on it. They're working on their emotions and their. I mean, I'm 64 and I'm still working on my emotions.
There was a stretch there where rebounding, was a little bit tough for you guys. Last couple of games, it feels like y'all have done a better job on the boards, especially this Tennessee game.
Yeah.
I feel like the guys have just kind of responded to that message.
I don't know that it's the message. I don't, because they could be responding to my message, and LSU is athletically equipped to be able to just jump over the top of us and around us and through us, and they're fast and quick, so we certainly talked about Tennessee's 2 losses prior to our loss. That was Vanderbilt and Florida, and it was those 2 games Tennessee did not dominate the boards, and they lost them both. Every other game they dominated the board. Well, they didn't dominate the boards against us, and so it was something that clearly we knew that was one of the best ways for Tennessee to score, and so it is also something that LSU does really well.